Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of our Yes and for Democracy series. I'm here with my friend, Dr. Joni Miller, and I'm Christy Johnson, and we're going to be talking today about collective effervescence. This is something I just heard about today. It's a social psychology concept having to do with what happens to our energy when we hang out together with shared purpose. It really can lift us up. I mean, you think about the bubbles in champagne that rise. That's the effervescence of the energy that happens when we get together, doing something that is really meaningful for us and moving into a different space with our energy because of it. So I'm going to ask if our audience members can hear me, because I've been told before that my sound was not loud enough. So if you can hear me, please let me know in the comments. Meanwhile, anything you'd like to talk about with this effervescence concept, Joni?
Well, I think that our audience will know why we're talking about effervescence because tomorrow is No Kings 3. And the way to be in community and the lift that you get with seeing all those people there and seeing the videos and pictures from all over the country in rural areas and small towns and in big cities. It's just this feeling of connection and hope that I am not alone in how I feel. And there are so many others who are joining in this collective, and it does bring this sense of effervescence.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I was thinking about this morning is, how many times do you have an opportunity to make history? You know, I'm not an astronaut. I'm not probably going to make some Nobel Prize winning discovery, but I might be participating in the largest protest in history in the US and elsewhere in the world. At last measure, I heard from Leah Greenberg mentioned yesterday on the Coffee with Contrarians that there are 3,100 locations currently for the protest tomorrow, which is massive, much larger than it was the last two times, which is super exciting that you could be part of something big. And I don't have children or grandchildren, but if I did, I'd be like, you know what? I was in this thing. March 28th, 2026, biggest protest ever. Just to be part of something that big, to me, feels, again, like that expansive energy, that effervescence energy. Woohoo, as Lori said. Exactly.
Well, and it's probably important to note that there have been some pushback that we've seen this week about protests don't matter, that they're not doing the real work. And that kind of drove me insane when I saw it twice on Monday. I was like, it's not everything, but don't dismiss it as nothing. It is a way of not just connecting with others and feeling like you're part of history, as Christy just said, but it is a way of signaling, not just to others in this country, but around the world, that there are plenty of people who don't agree with what's happening. And that's important because it creates that momentum, it creates that understanding that there are more of us. And that's important.
And that is tying back to the collective effervescence idea. This is the idea that in isolation, you can become fatigued, fighting in isolation, feeling like I'm doing everything I can. It's not making any difference. I'm here on my little island screaming things, and we're not alone. Like Lori says, we're all here together, coming together and saying, this is what we want, and these things are not okay. And so that fatigue actually gets harmonized, gets mitigated by the movement itself. I was reading this in an article from 5050, like 5051 movement, talking about how this is sort of the antidote. You go out and you get recharged and refueled by being with others who are, again, having that shared purpose, having a sense of identity around these things that are important to us. And again, we don't have to agree on every little policy issue, but we do have to agree that people matter, that laws matter, that the Constitution matters. Like, these are things that are important for us to come together on, the bigger, sort of the bigger picture things, and the smaller picture things we can resolve once we've moved through this, regime and moved on to something that's now more democratic and more we the people, and less of this divisive. I mean, it's we can go down that road. I was just thinking about the videos around the war. But anyway, the fact that we collectively can go, yeah, that's not okay. Like, my vision's over here. Let's come together. And when you go to a protest, you have that feeling of, we see something better. We see something greater. We see something that can make a bigger difference than what we've been doing before. And that is hope. I mean, that's hope, like, distilled into a nice, beautiful, short. I mean, you're not there that long. It's not like you have to stand there and do a vigil all day long. And this is not poor Cory Booker, who stood in front of the Senate and talked for hours, not even able to go to the bathroom. Like, no, you go for a couple hours. Maybe you stay for an hour, and you get to be part of something, and you get to be uplifted by it. And the studies also show that this lasts not just for a day, but the effects last for a long time. They extend beyond just like, oh, I went to a party. No, I went to something meaningful and significant, and now I'm feeling those long-term effects. Who doesn't want that? I mean, it's fabulous. My watch is doing a do not disturb thing. I'm going to turn this off.
Well, and it is creating a coalition. So we're not going to agree on everything. That is for sure. But it doesn't matter, because we're agreeing on some of the basic things. And it's not just what we're pushing against. It's what we are believing in, what we are for. And Dr. Joanne Freeman, who's a historian who's been talking about this a lot, and she specializes in the revolution. That's her field of study. She talks about reading the Declaration of Independence, not just the lofty words at the beginning, but the grievances. And that's kind of what this protest is. It is the lofty ideals as well as the grievances. And if we stay stuck in the grievances, we're not going to feel that sense of upliftment, that effervescence. It's like, what is the vision I want, not just for this country, but for this world? This vision where every life matters. And that just, with everything that's going on in the Middle East, that takes on such a bigger significance. Every life matters. That's important to me. That is my vision of the world, that somehow ripples through all of our structures and all of our systems, so that we can live in a world that values and gets the benefit of everyone mattering, because there are more ideas, there's more solutions when everyone is allowed to have an opinion, to create, to be part of the creation of this new world, which will come out on the other side of this.
And I love the statement of, everyone's allowed to have their opinion. And with the First Amendment, you're allowed to express it. This whole idea of the press cannot talk about certain things, and people are not supposed to talk about certain things. And this suppression that's been building around, even there's been talk of trying to suppress talking about this protest to keep it, let's keep it smaller. Let's try to minimize how important it is. It's wildly, hugely important. It is so significant. And that's why they're scared, that they don't want it to become this bigger thing. But there you are at a protest, and you get to hold up a sign saying, this is what I believe. And I saw a woman the other day who had a sign that was set up so she had 4 signs in one. She could flip it over and show the back of one and then flip it over. It was the coolest thing. It's like, she has things to say, and she gets to say them. She doesn't get stopped in the street. And I know a bunch of Iranian protesters were murdered. So we get to go out and say, hey, this matters to us. and this is who we are. And collectively, we're going to move towards that thing. That is the vision. That is the hope. That is the aspiration. You know, we were born in a time where Joni and I happen to be the same age, born the same year. We were born in a time where things were a little bit tumultuous because it was civil rights time, but I was a little kid, like I was oblivious. And so most of our lifetimes, we've been having this experience of, this isn't hard. Like, democracy will always be there, and that's something we can count on. This is easy for us. And this sacred thing turns out to be rather fragile, as it turns out. It took a lot of chipping away over decades to get to where we are. But this thing is not just fragile, but it's sacred. It is a special, very beloved and important and valid sort of thing. So my husband just said, I am here. It's funny. Love the comments. I'm glad everyone's showing up. We're up to 4 viewers. Ooh, this is we've met our record. Yes. So anyway, the idea that we can say who we are openly, it's still part of the freedom we have, and it's part of what we want to preserve. So going forward, that future generations will know that this was a fight, just like the revolution was a fight. And you know, Joanne Freeman, I love her. She talks about how many people were doing many things. There were lots of little people, supposedly little people, doing things that added up to something. It was not the work of George Washington alone, for example. You know, there's so much behind the scenes, and people just kind of forget that goes on. And she also mentions that people did not know they were part of something big when this was happening. We, on the other hand, have a bit of a preview. We've seen what they went through, and we know this is something big that we're doing. That protesting matters. I mean, back then, did they know that this was going to make any difference? No. And here we are. We know, because history tells us, and also statistics, data, so on from sociology, that this is something that is effective and is also empowering for those who participate and for those who just happen to see it. I was talking to a couple people this week that had no idea what this was about, which shocked me. And they were like, what's the no kings thing even mean? And I was explaining, well, we're not supposed to be having a king, but we have someone in office who's acting like a king. And they're, oh, now that makes sense. It's like, right. Like, why aren't there restraints on this person? Well, there are. They're just not being exercised. So there's so much for us to say as it continues to go farther off the plan that the founding fathers had.
Well, going back a little bit, yes, we're the same age, and yes, civil rights was going on at that time. I was a very strange child because the first thing I'm a strange adult too, but the first thing I remember watching on TV was Martin Luther King's funeral. And I was 5 years old, but somehow that impacted me. And I was a voracious reader and I liked reading historical fiction. And I thought, as I was growing up, I don't know what I would have done. Would I have been brave enough to take a stand? If I was a white person in the South, would I have been brave enough? I would hope that I would have been brave enough. But honestly, unless you're in it, you don't know what you'd do, what we would have done in 1776, what we would have done in 1935 Germany. We wouldn't know unless you're there with all the risks and rewards that go about taking a stand, using your voice. But now is the opportunity. That was all theoretical, theoretical for my teenage mind. But this is real. I can know what I'm doing in this moment. I can take a stand. I can be the person I want to be, that I hope I am, to stand up for the things that I believe, and to use my voice to say, this is important. This is what I want the world to be. And we don't, as you said, Christy, we don't often get that opportunity to know we're part of something. And we don't know what the impact of this video, what the impact of me going to a march or Christy going to a march or any one person going to a march is. But it may have a profound impact. We just don't know. The future is yet unwritten. And we never know the ripples of what our actions can do out into the future. Let's make them good ripples.
This reminds me of your post from this week. People need to go read that. It's awesome. All about the ripples. Yes, definitely about the ripples. I saw someone that commented something like, well, not all of us are social, when they were talking about trying to get people out. And to be clear, this is not a social event. This is not a potluck. This is not a party. This is not, there's been very little chit chat at the ones, I mean, a little bit of friendliness, but not like, there's no pressure to perform. You're there for one reason and one reason only, and that's to hold the sign so that cars can see it. You know, you're not going to turn your back and face the sign the other way. It's really pretty low key when it comes to the social aspect. If you want to chit chat with someone, that's fine. And if someone's too chatty with you, you can move to another spot. Like, it's really low key, easy going. I mean, it's like the lowest pressure social thing I've been in maybe ever. It's so easy because you know why you're all there. You don't have to like work out the logistics of like, oh, where should I stand? Where's my spot or anything? You just, okay, I can plug in here and I can hold up my sign. And if it's that easy, then that takes some of the barriers away of it's got to be a certain way and I need to perform and I need to show up in a certain way and people are going to remember. The other thing is, like, at least here particularly, because it tends to be hot and it tends to be sunny, people are usually wearing sunglasses and hats. Like, I don't even recognize a lot of these people. They're not going to know who I am after the fact. Like, oh, that Christy, she held her sign a little crooked, you know, like. No, it's just like, but if you did recognize me, like, oh, you were at the protest. Oh, is that right? Oh, wow. Hi, great to see you. I mean, it would be sort of a reunion in a lighthearted way and not a socially pressured kind of way.
And we don't know the impact that we have even by talking about it. You know, this week I have a flowering cherry tree in front of my house here in Maryland, and I've been posting every day a picture of the buds as they're starting to bloom. It's full peak in DC, but it's a little later here, a little further north. But I've been using that as an attention getter and then talking about No Kings. And I don't know if, I've had a couple people like it, but a couple comments. I don't know if it reached anyone who wasn't already planning on going. But in a way, I don't need to know. This was authentic to me to put this out there. And what happens from that is whatever happens from that. And I will circle back to my spiritual geography episode this week, because it was about time travel. That the one rule in time travel, if you travel back in time, you're not supposed to change anything. You're not supposed to accidentally, leave a gum wrapper on the ground or something that might change the future. And what all ethical time travelers know is that small actions could have big ripples, that they could change the future by a single conversation. Yet we don't act that way. We don't act as if what we do matters. Whereas you stand in a grocery store line and someone looks unhappy or upset, and you make some lighthearted comment about the candy on the display, it might turn around their day. You don't know. You don't know how you, being open-hearted, going into the world with the sense of purpose, with the sense of care for others, with the sense of empathy, what that does. And I can only hope that it has a positive impact.
And it does lend to something else. I mean, you and I were talking about a quote we both heard in the last day from Joanne Freeman quoting someone else about John Pavlovitz. Is that how you pronounce his
Ron
name?
Pavlovich, yeah.
That, these protests are a launching pad, not a landing pad. So we're not coming into the final descent. We're continuing to expand and launch and move energy up and move energy out. That's sort of that effervescence feeling again. And so if this is just part of something bigger, there's a way in which, to me, it takes the pressure off. That, oh my gosh, because I can get into that place of like, I should be doing more. I should be doing more than donating. I should be doing more than going to calls. I should be doing more than doing protests. I should be doing more than contacting my Congress people. And this kind of brings it home at like, what if this is enough? What if each of us collectively adding something to the pot? It reminds me of the stone soup idea that they were going to make stone soup and each person put in an ingredient. And someone brought the carrots and someone brought the potatoes and so on. Obviously, there'd be no soup if there was just a stone. But by the time everyone brought something, it became this delicious meal. This is that same idea of none of us has to carry this alone. And I mean, certain people like Heather Cox Richardson are carrying a massive amount, but we can also carry a little bit, and incrementally add our ingredients to this mix. And the other thing about it that I've read and I certainly believe is that this sort of thing can inspire us to do something more after this. Like there might be a table there. At the ones I've been to, there have been tables with flyers, and there can be things to sign. There can be things at the state level like petitions and stuff about voting, or maybe there's someone there registering people to vote, or like there's like a bunch of things that may become interesting when you're already in the movement and you're already feeling the momentum and feeling the commitment. There's a thing going on called the Singing Resistance, which I think is pretty fascinating. I think it started in Minneapolis. And there's a singing resistance here in Tucson, and they get together and rehearse. And I guess it's a lot of call and response. So you don't even have to be super like great at singing or even good at knowing what the words would be, but they say the words and then you repeat them back. And the person says the words and you repeat them back. They're going to be at the one we're going to be at tomorrow. So it's going to be fascinating to hear what they do and how it works. And maybe the whole crowd will be doing the call and response. And so I got chills just thinking about it. Like, this will be something I've never experienced and will probably always remember. Lori says, you two are inspiring. Thanks for doing this. Well, thank you so much for coming because you're one of our 4 people. Yay. So exciting. And the whole singing resistance thing, maybe someone listens to that and goes, you know what? That was so inspiring that I want to be part of that too. And then it spreads. That's that thing we were talking about last time, how it can be contagious.
Yeah.
Once you get your toe in, you might go, oh, like that felt really good. And I feel like I'm doing something important and this is making a difference. Yeah, sign me up. I want to do more.
And you don't have
where that will lead.
And you don't have to do everything. There's lots of different opportunities, but something is going to speak to you, whether it's voter registration or immigrant rights, something's going to speak to you. And if you can delve a little more deeply into that area or find some way to contribute in that area, it could be caring for people. It doesn't have to be like frontline activism. It could be working at a soup kitchen. It could be, there's so many different ways to not just create change in the regime, but to create the world we want to live in. And find the things that really make you passionate, or as Christy often says, put her hair on fire.
I do have fiery hair at times. I think I adopted that from Heather Cox Richardson. She says that a lot, and I listen to her a lot, so I think I've kind of picked that up. But yeah, it's like the things that are you're most passionate about are the things you're going to be most hit in the gut when you see them going the direction you don't want them to go. And you're going to feel the most elevated when you see them go in the direction that you do want them to go. Again, this isn't about you doing a complete personality makeover and becoming a totally different person. This is about you becoming who you are more and more, and finding the things that you're passionate about and being willing to speak up about them. And some of this comes with practice, I think. I've probably mentioned before that in the work I do, your fifth chakra, you grow that open. Like ideally, it'll be 100% open and you can show up as who you are. I can say who I am. I can speak my truth at all times. But the fact of the matter is it kind of constricts when we don't feel comfortable showing up as ourselves. We have to grow it. And we do that growing with time, with practice, with sometimes saying something and someone says something awful. We've already in our little tiny podcast had some comments that are like, well, that's not helpful. Bye-bye, that comment's not going to stay. And so we get to speak, and then we get to, hopefully some people will hear us and there'll be some resonance. It's the same thing with these activism, and I don't love the word because it feels kind of harsh to me. Just like the ACLU, I used to be like, oh, they're so, I don't know, regimented, vigilante. I felt like they were very, I can't even think of the right word, but just strident. And I was like, oh, now I'm like, yay, they're strident for us. Like all of a sudden I've been like, oh, they are really advocating. I'm in their camp. And now we actually donate some money to them because they are, and they're fighting. We want people to fight. I mean, that's part of the thing with the Democrats right now. People want them to fight. That is the higher priority than the specific issues. Are you willing to fight? Are you willing to go forward and say, we want this and not this. This is what we want. We're not going to stop until we get this thing. This strength of character really is emblematic of these times, I think. Those are the people that are resonating with us versus the people who are like, well, I kind of want to get along. No, please don't go along. You're representing us and we're fiercely animated about what's going on, which is, again, emphasized by the collective effervescence of, yeah, we're on fire. We're excited. We're lit up to make this happen. Not hair on fire, but fired up. And this is what we want. So help us by representing us and showing us that you can do the things that will help us move towards this world we really, really want.
And that I heard something the other day that is worth remembering, that if you don't pick a side, you've picked a side. And you've picked the side of the status quo. And we obviously want you to pick the side of fighting for democracy. Yes, and let's create a bigger tent, create a coalition.
Yeah, so I can make a sign that says no quo. I don't think people will get it. No status quo, no quo. But yeah, this idea of, oh, I'm apolitical, I just want to be neutral. I want to be Switzerland. It's too late for that. Like Switzerland has come and gone. We're now two opposing forces largely. Either you agree with them and you're passively endorsing them, or you disagree with them and you say, this is what matters. This is who I am. Because I think some people are failing to recognize these are critical times. I'm not here because I've always been an activist, and I'm here because I'm like, oh my goodness, like we really have we continue to cross line after line after line to places we never ever thought we would go, and it's still not stopping. Oh, even I need to get involved. Like, no longer could I sit back and just be like, no, I've got to do something, which is so counter to my self-concept. And yet here I am, and this feels perfectly comfortable because, yeah, I want to say something. I want to be here showing up. And this No Kings is such a gift for me because it's all set up. It's all the structures there. They've got organizers, they've got support team, they've even got medical people here in case anybody has an emergency. They bring water. There's usually a sign guy there that you can grab some pre-made signs from. Wow, how easy is it for me just to drive over there, show up? It is beautiful. And I hope that many more millions show up than did last time, including our 4 lovely subscribers who I think are our 4 lovely listeners who I think I know all of them, or at least most of them. And I know you're going to show up and do the let's do this kind of thing that we want to do this weekend.
And If you don't know, the website is nokings.org. Find an event near you. It's not just the side of the road things. There are some people bridge and overpass, and there are some marches and some bigger events going on.
And it's
So,
not just in the US. There are other places as well. There even are virtual events, although I don't know if they're listed on the nokings.org site. But Stand Up for Science has a virtual event. So if you're disabled or something and you just can't go out and do it, that might be a way to feel like you're part of the energy of moving toward what we want.
And Christy and I hopefully will go live for a couple minutes tomorrow from our respective
yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll see. We'll be on the road, live and in person at our protest. Because our protest, incidentally, we're 3 hours apart. So I'm in Tucson, Arizona, and she's in Maryland. We're 3 hours apart, but our protests happen to be happening at the same time. So we thought, wouldn't it be fun to go live for a few minutes tomorrow? So we'll do that. We'll see what happens. See if we have a good enough signal. Who knows? Not sure how it'll be there, but we'll definitely give it a try.
And we thank you for watching, whether you're live or watching after the fact. And let's turn hope into action.
Together. Thank you both. Thank you all for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Where's my end button?